I had been primarily a solo artist, a singer-songwriter, and when I was working on my last record, there were a few songs that were kind of more in a shoegazy kind of dream pop feel, and I kind of, sometimes like I have a lot of different influences, and sometimes the songs just kind of go where they want to go, and I felt like that was something I wanted. I wanted to pursue a sound that was kind of going in that direction. So I put out an ad on Craigslist and met a few, looking for a guitar player initially, and met about 3 guitar players, and wasn't quite working out. And then I met Brandon in early 2013, and we started writing together, and it just kind of clicked. In terms of musically, it was he just kind of played a certain way that I wasn't asking him to play a certain way. It's just sort of the way he played. So that was the initial start of Arcwaves.
Yeah, I think something that's kind of interesting to note is that Elaine had only played keyboard previously, and so this was kind of a new thing, I think, for her, was to play guitar in this band. And she's kind of new at guitar, but it like works in a really interesting way. So that was a cool dynamic, because I've worked with guitar players before that were really good, whereas Elaine, not saying you're bad, but you're not.
I'm a beginner.
And I'm not amazing either, but she like did a, like, she played in a style that was easy to like accommodate, and it gelled. And then I'll pass the torch. William, we met.
What was it? April 2013, maybe.
March or April, yeah.
Just came down. I was looking for another gig. I answered for bass player, was it, or just another?
Yeah,
drummer?
but then we were looking for a bass player.
So yeah, but you had a drummer at that stage as well. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And then had a jam. It was good. It was Friday. I got out for a few pints. It was, I really enjoyed it, and just kept going back then, and it kind of clicked then after a while.
Yeah, I met these guys the same way. As I was actually new to town, moved from Dallas early in 2013, and it's just a couple months I'd been in town. I had some friends here, they were musicians, but they mostly play like jazz, and while I can play jazz, I don't enjoy it as much as other things. And so I was looking for some different things, some different people to play with, and found an ad. And these 3 were already together, and they'd already kind of worked up about, it's like 4 or 5 tunes you guys had kind of worked up. Some of them which we still play. And we had one rehearsal. Like, I just kind of came. I was late. I remember that. I went to the wrong place, and it was pretty easy to play with them right away. Which is I've played with a lot of different bands and different people, and you can tell right away when musicians are kind of like Brandon and Elaine both touched on. You can, at least I can tell right away if I'm gonna have a chemistry with another musician or not. True. And all 3 of these guys are very easy to play with, and no one tries to rule with a iron fist of sorts. We're all very malleable to each other and play off of each other. Yeah, I think it worked right away. And going back to what Brandon said about Elaine, like how she just was new to guitar. Like, I honestly didn't know that Elaine hadn't been playing guitar for years until after our first gig. We played a gig at like Pianos, this was over a year ago now, and right after the gig, she's telling someone, she's like, "Yeah, this was my first live show playing guitar in front of people," and I was like pretty blown away, because she just sounds good. She's a good guitar player, so it was pretty impressive to me, that it was their first time playing in front of people.
Yeah, that was scary. Thanks, Mike. In my previous bands, I felt like I always just loved the guitar parts, and I would write on guitar, but I would never perform on guitar. And I've just always been fascinated with guitar, and I grew up in a family where it was kind of keyboard based. My mom's a pianist and organist, so it was always about the keyboard, and so like the guitar was always something that I was just really interested in. And I played the violin when I was young, so I had a little bit of like, you know, just being with a string instrument. And then there was one band I was in where we needed a bass player, so I played bass. Not very good, but just you know, something I did. So I think, and then I whenever I was in bands, I was always like really specific, like asking like the guitar player I was working with, like, could you play that? And then so some of like my friends would be like, why don't you just play a guitar? But it's different because when you're new to something, you can't really necessarily do all the things you want to do. So, you know, it's always best to like work with someone that like knows their way around the instrument and had just had a longer time with it.
My first tendency in like any music that's driven by vocals is to less is more from a drum and bass standpoint. You know, it's almost like I feel it's almost a compliment as a rhythm section member if like you don't get noticed. It sounds kind of funny, but like it's sometimes in some music, like if you're really like noticing the bass player and the drummer, that's detracting from what the focus of the song really is, or you're getting in the way if you're being noticed too much. That's not saying I don't want people to notice me. It's just I try to play pretty simple, whatever the song needs and nothing more. What Brandon and Elaine give between their instruments and her voice is pretty like lush and full. And so, you know, to clutter that up with too much, you know, percussion or rhythmic stuff underneath it is just gonna create kind of just like a mush of sound, you know. So to try to find, I think, just like a part that complements it all and gives them a nice sort of foundation to put all their stuff on top of is I think what we go for. You know, it's kind of a lot of times in rehearsal, we're more talking about what to take away rather than what to add to something. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, we're both sort of like, hey, what if we played a little less there, you know?
Cut stuff out and stuff as well. But it's so hard to find like good singers, and then when you hear somebody like Elaine, it's behind the music. It's actually very different. So that's why I kind of like, and as Mike says, playing less, you know, playing stuff up highs, get a chance to do that with this kind of music is nice. So
our EP came out today, which we're super excited about. We started writing songs, I guess it would have been last year, and this EP is, I guess, 4 of our, what would you call them?
I'd say like most
songs.
polished
Yeah.
songs. Like we've
Been playing a lot.
been playing them a while. They're done.
They're done. They're done. Yeah. And we've been working with Chris. We're in Chris's studio, Chris D. Butler's studio. So we recorded the album here.
And we came in just to do some demo recordings, really. Just like, okay, we've got a bunch of songs. Let's get a few. We wanted to get 3-4 tunes. Just really like a nice demo package so we could be booking more shows. And so we spent literally one day in here, and we just kind of like got like 4 tunes done, I want to say. And you know, Chris seemed to enjoy it. We enjoyed working with him, and he did the mixing on those really quick. Like I said, they were just demos, and through that, you know, we just talked some more, and he mentioned that him and a partner, Peter, had started up a label, and were looking and really enjoyed our music and wanted to know if we wanted to work with them. But we love working with him and recording here. He gets a lot of good sounds out of this space and has a lot of great gear and knows how to use it, which is important for an engineer.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good space to record. It's,
It's a great space to record, and you know, he wanted it to be a real collaborative effort. So we were, I mean, not the band is very collaborative, but we are also very collaborative with him. Like we you know, when a mix is done, like we talk about it, and it's very much a back and forth thing. Like everyone contributes and has their say in what they like, and I think that is what makes, like what you were saying before about what makes a band really special is first you have to see if like there's magic with 2 people, and then 3 people, and then 4 people, and then it just keeps growing, and so when it continues, like it really is, it's like it's bigger than you, like, and you just kind of see where it goes. So
Yeah, Chris is like, you know, he's great at suggesting stuff, you know, and it's nearly like rehearsing with a band member, even though you're recording. You know, sort of way he's like, well, why don't you do that, and why don't you do this? Which is, you know, that's what you want. You want to be like, try it in a million different ways and see what works.
Yeah, and there's no like time frame on things, which was kind of nice because you could really dial in on certain sounds you wanted to capture. And so it, you know, we spent some time on this, and I think it showed in the final product. Like it sounds really good. Like it's probably, I mean, I've been playing music since I was 18 in bands, and I've been recording, and this is definitely the best, something I'm the most proud of so far. Like I'm really into the way it sounds.
yeah, and I think because we're the first artists on the label, you know, being, you know, they also really wanted it to be, you know, very specific about it sounding, you know, kind of worthy of release. So it wasn't just like we have to get something out there. We're doing a release show party at Shea Stadium. You know, there's a big DIY scene in Brooklyn, and part of playing the DIY scene is playing these all ages venues, because you know, when I was a teenager, like I was like, music was my life, and so being able to go to shows when you're under 21 it's really important.
Yeah, I think the live sound's a lot different than the EP. The EP's like, it's good, and then the live sound is good, but they're different. So it's, if someone's listened to the songs recorded and then they see us live, I think they'll see a different side of the band that, which I think is good, because I think it's cool to see something differently than you had in your head when you first listened to it.
Yeah, we tend to make the songs longer, kind of put in extra parts, have a bass and drum parts.
Yeah, we're a jam band.
Not quite. Yeah.
I think over the process of us, like, you know, mixing and editing and tracking things, and you know, it's a long process. And I think what I learned about these guys is that we all have very like discerning tastes, and everyone has a very specific idea of what they want, which is pretty cool, because I have that's the way I am. It seems like another thing that shows that we have a bond is that, like, we're all very particular about the way our things sound, and we'll go to whatever length necessary to get that.